Thank you very much, Chair. This is my memorandum on the report of the Auditor General of the Accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2022. I begin with audit findings. An examination of accounts and records maintained at the Ministry's headquarters selected stations for the financial year ended 31st December 2022 revealed the following. A. Budget income and expenditure. In the estimate of revenues and expenditure for the financial year ended 31st December 2022, a provision of 5,920,013,145 was made to cater for the Constituency Development Fund and various activities, out of which amounts totaling 5,854,698,174 were released, resulting in underfunding of 65,314,971. As at 31st December 2022, amounts totaling 5,541,850,572 had been spent. A controlling officer's submission, cause of query is unspent funds amounting to 312,847,601.72. Action taken, Chair. Out of an amount of 312,847,601.72 that was unspent, 309,306,318 was carried forward to 2023. 298,249,818 under the CDF program was reserved for procurement of motor vehicles, and 11,056,500 was for skip tracks. The amounts have since been approved under the supplementary provision. The balance of 3,541,283 went back to the Treasury. The table shows the breakdown. So our unspent balances as tabulated, we had PEs, grants, CAPEX, and RDCs as itemized, totaling to the 3.5 million. We went further to provide breakdown for the RDCs to just indicate where the amounts were coming from. We had executive management, we had human resource administration, which stood at 966,951. We had procurement, planning and information, physical planning, housing and infrastructure development, chiefs affairs, rural development, and audit. As shown in the table above, Chair, the funds were meant for various programs. However, there were some unspent balances that were already committed in the IFMIS, but were reversed due to the closure of accounts. I've attached an appendix labeled 1 for the supplementary budget. In terms of remedial measures, we're saying funds should be fully spent and follow-ups to be made that any commitment in the IFMIS system is clear to avoid such at the end of the year, when there is closure of the accounts. At B, we have operational matters, infrastructure development. During the period under review, the Ministry had 45 projects with a total contract sum of 3.1 billion relating to the construction of infrastructure in various districts, out of which interim payment certificates in amounts totaling 940 million were issued, against which amounts totaling to 510 million had been paid as at 31st December 2022. The Ministry received funds in amounts totaling 50,450,000 from the Treasury for infrastructure development, and the whole amount was spent. the following was observed: markets, bus stations, and fire stations. The ministry had 11 projects relating to the construction of the markets, bus stations, and fire stations, with a total contract sum of 107 million in various districts, which were ongoing during the period under review. In November 2020, the ministry engaged Henina Engineering and Construction Limited under contract number MLG/DHID/MMBS/07/2020 to complete the construction of a modern bus stop in Mpika at a contract sum of 16.8 million. The contract was for a period of 18 months, starting from 19th November 2020 to 19th May 2022. As at 30th June 2023, the contractor had been paid amounts totaling 1,998,505. The contract expired in May 2022 and works had stalled. As at 30th June 2023, there was no evidence that the contract had been extended. According to the design review report by the consulting engineer dated September 2022, there were architectural concerns and deteriorated blockwork that needed to be addressed. Further, electrical drawings were not availed. A physical inspection of the bus stop carried out in June 2023 revealed that all the buildings were at roof level and the contractor was not on site. The overall stage of completion stood at 40%. The controlling officer's submission and cause of query: the contract expired in May 2022 and works had stalled. As at 30th June 2023, there was no evidence that the contract had been extended. My response, Chair, is the observation by the auditor is correct. The contractor was not on site because the contract expired. Request for extension of time was made to the Attorney General's office, who advised that the contract be retendered by direct bidding the same contractor. The direct bidding process commenced in accordance with the reviewed design scope. However, the bid price, which was submitted by the contractor, was higher than the available budget for 2023. The tender was cancelled due to inadequate funds to complete the project pursuant to ZPPA regulations. The ministry has planned to phase the completion of the project starting from 2024 work plan. Secondly, the ministry took note of the gaps in the original design, and that is the reason why a consultant was engaged to review the design and supervise the works. The consultant brought out the concerns and provided the updated designs, which include the electrical drawings. Documents, Chair, showing the direct bidding process and the electrical drawings are available for audit verification at Appendix 2. In terms of remedial measures, management wish to report that the ministry is currently procuring projects or contracts according to the approved annual work plan and the available funds. Feeder road periodic maintenance projects. In paragraph 25.2c of the report of the Auditor General on the accounts of the Republic for the financial year ended 31st December 2021, mention was made on the 238 contracts with a total contract sum of 12.7 billion relating to the periodic maintenance of feeder roads covering 9,317.85 kilometers. In particular, mention was made on the overcommitment of funds and delayed completion of works in selected project sites. A review of the situation in June 2023 revealed that the ministry had taken action by terminating 197 contracts valued at 10.4 billion for rehabilitation of approximately 7,685,000.35 kilometers of feeder roads across the country. It was observed, however, that outstanding final accounts under clause 59.2 of the contract between the ministry and the contractor states that as soon as it is practical, after notice of termination under subclause 59.1, that is termination by client, has taken effect, the project manager shall assess the value of the works, goods, and contractor's documents, and any other sums due to the contractor for work executed in accordance with the contract. However, the final value of the amount owed to the contractor had not been determined as at 30th June 2023, 9 months after the notice of termination had been issued. Controlling officer's submission, cause of query, final accounts for the contracts had not been determined as at 30th June 2023. Chair, in terms of action taken, the observation by the auditor concerning the final accounts had been noted. Management wishes to clarify that the production of final accounts of 197 contracts that were terminated is a back and forth issue. It is a process that involves 4 parties, and these are the contractors, local authority, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and the National Road Fund Agency. It is work in progress, and some of the contractors have disagreed on certain measurements, and discussions are being conducted to resolve the differences among and with and between the parties. However, the ministry has so far produced and cleared 130 contracts. A list of projects with final accounts is shown in Appendix 3. In terms of remedial measures, management wishes to report that the ministry will be procuring projects or contracts according to approved annual work plan and available funds. I move on to overpayment of certified works. Between 2018 and 2022, 27 contracts with a total contract value of 1,656,538,793 were overpaid by the National Road Fund Agency, in that the contractors were paid 478 million, while the certified works by the ministry were 368 million, resulting in an overpayment of 109,728,941. See Table 1 below, and under Table 1 there's a tabulation which is showing the provinces, the number of contracts, the length, the total contract values, amount certified and amount paid, and amount overpaid. Controlling officer submission, cause of query, overpayment to various road contractors. Action taken. Management wishes to state that there was no overpayment as observed. There was no overpayment on the observed 27 contracts. The information that was provided to the auditors at the time of the audit needed to be reconciled with figures from NRFA. The certified works had not yet been updated by the ministry, and other documents were being awaited, thereby showing as if there was overpayment. The ministry has since updated the certified works through issuance of payment certificates. We have attached Appendix 4. Remedial measures. Management wishes to state that the ministry is working on improving operational efficiency and sharing of information between the ministry and the National Road Fund Agency to avoid such occurrences. Under C, Chair, undelivered skip bins. On 23rd December 2022, the ministry issued a local purchase order number 7/015615 and 7/015617 to Ketafazia General Dealers and Epicasio investment for the supply and delivery of 5 and 4 skip bins respectively at a total cost of 449,500 with a delivery date of 30th December 2022. However, as at 31st August 2023, 5 skip bins costing 250 had been delivered, leaving a balance of 4 skip bins valued at 199,800 not delivered, 28 weeks after the expected delivery date. We've provided, there's a table to just amplify that. Controlling Officer submission, cause of query. 4 skip bins valued at 199,800 were not delivered, 28 weeks after the expected delivery date. Action taken. As at 23rd October 2023, the skip bins had not been delivered. The ministry has since written to the insurance company to recall and claim kwacha 99,800 from Ketafaja General Dealers for not supplying the last 2 skip bins. The ministry has also written to the insurance company to recall and claim 100,000 kwacha from Epicasio Investments Limited for not supplying the last 2 skip bins. See attached Appendix 5A for Katafeze General Dealers and Appendix 5B for Epicasio Investments Limited. Remedial measures, Chair. Management wishes to assure the committee that it will endeavor to subject all suppliers to provide performance bonds so that funds can be recalled when the supplier breaches the contract terms. D. Repair of fire tender trucks. A review of the documents and inquiries made revealed that 8 fire tenders stationed at 7 local authorities around the country were involved in road traffic accidents between 2017 and 2022 and were extensively damaged. At the time of the accident, the fire tenders were comprehensively insured with ZISC General Insurance. In this regard, the ministry contacted ZISC, who issued 2 repair authorization orders in December 2022 for 2 trucks belonging to Chilawombwe and Solwezi councils. Despite being comprehensively insured with ZISC General Insurance, there was no evidence that the 6 fire trucks were compensated by the insurance firm as at 31st July 2023. Further, there was no evidence that the ministry had raised the necessary loss reports. See Table 3 below. So we have a table there which is outlining what I just went through. As at 31st January 2023, the fire tender trucks had not been repaired. My submission, in the cause of query, the insurance company delay in repairing the 8 fire tender trucks for the ministry. Action taken. It is true that the 8 fire tenders stationed at 7 local authorities around the country were involved in road traffic accidents between 2017 and 2022 and were extensively damaged. And it is also true that at the time of the accident, the fire tenders were comprehensively insured with ZISC General Insurance. In this regard, the ministry contacted ZISC, who issued two repair authorization orders in December 2022 for the 2 trucks belonging to Chilawombwe and Solwezi councils. As noted above, ZISC wrote to the ministry indicating that ZISC would bear the cost for repairing the 2 fire tender trucks, which could only be done in South Africa, after which any additional repairs resulting from wear and tear would be borne by the ministry. Further, management wishes to state the following. Chilawombwe and Solwezi fire tender trucks. Management in minute number MLGRD/104/119 dated 16 February 2023 requested for authority from the Secretary to Cabinet to have the fire tender trucks repaired in South Africa as per correspondence from ZISC and still awaits guidance. Attached is a minute at Appendix 6A. Secondly, Chilelabombwe, Solwezi, and Lusaka fire tenders. Further to this, the auditors may note that on 10th August 2023, the Anti-Corruption Commission issued a search and seizure warrant pursuant to Section 55 as read with Section 58 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012 on the said fire tenders. I've attached Appendix 6B. Chair, as for the remaining 4, the Ministry has engaged the Zambia State Insurance Corporation on the repair of the fire tender trucks. In a meeting held on 1st June 2023 with the Managing Director of ZISC, it was resolved that the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, should discuss with the investigative wings for them to separate the issues involved in the procurement of the fire trucks from the issue relating to accidents and repair in order to expedite the repair of the fire tender trucks. I've attached Appendix 6C1, 6C2, 6C, and 6C3. The Anti-Corruption Commission has since separated those trucks under investigations from those involved in the accident as per search and seizure warrant pursuant to Section 55 as read with Section 58 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012. Chair, in a minute dated 25th July 2023, the Ministry engaged Hazida Motors Limited, who are the franchise dealer for Scania, to repair all the fire tender trucks involved in the road accidents. Management wishes to inform the committee that Hazida Limited confirmed that they are able to repair all the fire tenders. This includes the cabin as well as the superstructure, that is water tanks and related parts. I've attached Appendix 6D, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In terms of remedial measures, Chair, management wishes to state that the insurance company has since identified the companies that will be repairing the fire tenders in Zambia and out of Zambia for complicated repair works, Chair. I submit.
Thank you, PS, for your submission. Honorable colleagues, that's a submission from PS Local Government and Rural Development. We can proceed to question the PS, starting with budget, income, and expenditure. Then we can proceed as it were. Thank you. Where are the questions? Honorable Daka, Honorable Amnyima, then Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you. Controlling Officer, thank you for your submission. On this budget, income, and expenditure, these amounts carried forward, in your submission you indicate that they were reserved for CDF vehicles and partly skip tracks, and that these have since been supplemented. Now I just want to know what challenges did you have in exhausting these funds within the financial year. Complete utilization of these funds. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daka.
I wanted to record progress. Can I go ahead? Chair, I would like to take the controlling officer to markets, bus station and fire stations. Controlling officer, you have submitted that the Attorney General advised that the contract be retendered by direct bidding to the same contractor. Why then is it that the letter from the Attorney General was dated the 30th June 2022, while the decision to cancel the tender was communicated to the contractor on the 20th July 2023, which is a year later? Then the other question on the same is that why did it take so long for the ministry to make a decision to cancel the tender? Mr. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those 3 questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Challenge on exhausting funds. What was the challenge? The challenge is premised on the procurement processes. We received funding towards the end, and it's at that point that we made the decision. So before we could get all the necessary clearances, we could not proceed to utilize the resources. And as a ministry, we then wrote finance to request for retention, hence the supplementation which was granted much later on by Parliament. I think so. It was essentially that was the main reason for the question that is being referred to. For the other question, I didn't get it quite clearly. Okay.
So PSI issues of dates, I think, which Honorable Daka has raised, a letter from the Attorney General and your communication to cancel the contracts. Maybe you can also clarify on that one.
Okay. So on our communication, we receive correspondence, and based on the correspondence that we receive, that's when we act. They may have been a lapse in time, but when we looked at our budgets, we had for the whole year, the provision for markets and bus stations stood at 50,450,000, and it is that information that actually made us, make a decision to cancel. But of course, on the delay, I probably have to look at it. It could be. Let me just consult with my. Okay. Sorry, I'm just being guided by my team here. When we went to retender, a bid was submitted and it had to go through an evaluation process, and at that point, we discovered to say that the bid price, which was put in by Henina, was actually high. And it's at that point that we took a decision to say we cannot proceed on account of insufficient funds.
Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Chairperson. Controlling officer, I raised the issues of dates here. From the time the Attorney General gave you authority to the time you communicated to the contractor, it was a year later. And controlling officer, time is money. And you are aware, I know, that there are a lot of factors that comes in when you delay an action, especially to do with pricing. So you have reported to this committee that actually the retendered bid sum was way above the budget. Don't you think that it's the timing actually which caused this unfortunate situation? Because the Zambians wanted the service, and the delayed action could have caused the prices to escalate. Can you make a comment, controlling officer? Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you. Any other question? If not, PS, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there was a delay in communicating. We received communication in June, which is mid-year, and by the time we had received that communication, in terms of the funds that we had available at that particular time, we had already committed all our resources. So it's also a question of the financing which was made available to us as a ministry. So as we went on into the next year, we had to look at rescoping of the works by the local authority, and even after rescoping, we still found that the money which eventually came through the bid was too big to accommodate our budget. So that is what actually transpired. But indeed, it must be noted to say that yes, when there are delays, it eventually becomes costly. But it is mitigating circumstances of the budget having already been committed, which actually led to that delay, Chair. I submit.
Honorable Lumai.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. PS, these are legacy issues. And Chairperson, you agree with me, 45 projects at B is not a small number of projects. Now, my concern, Mr. Chairman, to the PS, 45 projects dotted around the country. Chair, there's an issue of safety for these materials. And also, I would safely say that there is a violation of tender processes by both the contractors and the government itself. So what I want to find out from the controlling officer after taking over these legacy issues, what I want to know is how safe are these materials, and also what are you doing to ensure that come next year, because this is 2023, Chair, come next year, 2024, we can get a progress report regarding the 45 projects. I submit, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Lumai. PS, we can proceed. The only guidance is we don't need to get Honorable a progress report. They should give us by now, because these things even arose last time in that other Auditor General's report. So we should know the status now. So PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. In terms of what we are doing as a ministry, we are very deliberate. We are not getting into any contract where we do not have a budgetary allocation or resources. We are sticking to the budget. And you will note that the number of projects that we're doing at some point were indeed a lot. But if you look at what I've submitted, most of the work is structural, where a structure is already up, and for the market, for instance, I did indicate to say it is part of our 2024 plan. We'll be completing it as soon as we are financed by Treasury. And for the other feeder roads, I suppose that is where the Honorable MP could be referring to. The practice is, as you are closing accounts, as you are preparing final accounts, the instruction to the contractor is that they must leave the place safe, and if there's any material, it must be handed over to the local authority or to government indirectly, And that is the procedure. So in terms of wastage, Chair, we may not have wastage. The only thing is for the feeder roads, of course, when they're at a particular stage of completion, you know, with the rains coming in and so on and so forth, they usually deteriorate. That is the nature of feeder road contracts, Chair. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mfarari. Then Honorable Amnima.
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Lungu.
Chair, I just wanted a clarification following the question by Honorable Amunyima on the challenges that you found in these unspent funds. In your response, I think you said you wrote to Finance to ask for retention of these funds. Do you have any correspondence attached somewhere? I didn't see anything.
Thank you, Honorable Amnima.
Thank you, Chair. Controlling Officer, I'll draw your attention to this contract in Mpika. This contractor who was paid amounts, I think, about 1.9 million. The contract expired and the project was incomplete. Now, what was the reason for the contractor not to complete the project in the contract period? Is there any reason that the contractor could not complete this project? I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lungu, you can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is on the roads which were terminated, about 197. I would like to find out contractor obligation, if there's any contractor who sued the government, and if the government, if yes, how much revenue has been lost to the part of the government. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those three questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll probably start with the last question to say, do we have any legal suit, and is there any money that has been lost? Chair, when we come here, we are taught to be truthful and factual. I am not very prepared to give a response as in terms of numbers. I'm aware that we have received some correspondence through law firms where they're indicating an intention to take the matter to court, but we have been engaging them. We've been calling them to have discussions so that we resolve the issues without resorting to going to court. So that is the position in terms of legal issues. In terms of the contract where we paid 1.9, the question still comes to say, what was the challenge? Why did we not complete this particular assignment? Chair, you will note that this contract initially was given out in 2020 and it expired in 2022, and the reason why it expired, or it was not completed, I can imagine to say that it was a lack of resources. There weren't adequate resources to complete this particular assignment. As a ministry, we then went on to try and complete the project. We went through a process of direct bidding, like I submitted earlier on, and indeed, when the bid came through, the amount of money which was on the bid was too huge to accommodate our resource wallet, and we had to therefore cancel the proceeding. Chair, I also did submit to say that the works have since been rescoped, and it is now on our plan for 2024 that this particular project, the rescope project, will be embarked on so that the project can be completed and brought to use, Chair. I submit. And on the question from Honorable Mufalali, where he's requesting to say, do we have any correspondence? Chair, we have submitted an approval on supplementation, and our thinking is that this is adequate, because before we get a supplementation, we apply for a retention to the Ministry of Finance, and when it is granted, it then proceeds, and the final product of this process is a supplementary budget approval. So that is the only information that we have submitted, Chair, that if need be, we can submit the correspondence between ourselves and the Ministry of Finance, Chair. I submit.
Thank you. Before Honorable Daka comes in, Honorable Mfarari. PS, if you say Ministry of Finance, you mean NFRA or just a Minister of Finance?
Secretary to the Treasury.
Okay, okay. So, honorable colleagues, there I've got one suggestion: issue of outstanding final accounts, as well as overpayment of certified works. I think it's important that we have NFRI to come and untangle this, and also they give us a status, because on some of these issues are saying cleared by NFRI, submitted. I understand the ministry will look at the IPCs, but the one who pays is NFRI. So NFRA should come with their Director Finance and their CEO to come and help us on some of these, especially on these roads. That is my suggestion on those two queries. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On the same bus stop in Mpika, a controlling officer, for a project to expire, which means there were no extensions that were granted during project management or contract management. Why did we allow a situation where a contract had to expire instead of us revalidating it through an extension or an addendum? Because allowing it to expire, to me, basically, that's what caused the whole problem that we are facing now. Because there was a contract which was signed to between the ministry and this contractor. So why did we allow the contract to expire instead of just revalidating it through an extension or an addendum? Were there any challenges that you faced with this contractor, which this committee is interested to know? Mr. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Kwamunyima.
Thank you very much, Chair. Controlling Officer, the 197 feeder road contracts that have been cancelled were at different stages. So I am aware that there are those that advance payments were paid. Did you have some form of analysis on the financial loss to government on cancelling 197 contracts that are at different stages? What is the financial loss to government? And when it comes to these contractors who've sued, you say there are some. We want the specific number. 20 have sued, 30 have, not just some, so that we understand the factual part of this cancellation, Chair. So, Chair, as you guided that we need an RFA, I just want to know the financial loss to government in terms of advance payments or in terms of delay, demobilization of equipment on site, etc. And I also want to know the committee would also want to know how many have sued government out of these 197 contracts. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. PS, mine is on the contracts again that were cancelled. Which criteria were you using to leave some and some were cancelled? Is it that the ones that were cancelled they did not perform according to the standard, or what? I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those 3 questions.
Thank you very much, Chair. Cancellation of contracts. What was the criteria? Chair, a number of these contracts had already lapsed because of time, and as a matter of procedure, we then had to proceed and issue notice of termination. So we're looking at contracts which had lapsed as a result of passage of time. We're also looking at contracts which had not proceeded beyond 20%. And Chair, it must be noted to say the compelling reason for not proceeding with the number of contracts is that government had overcommitted. The commitment was in excess of 12 billion, when the budgetary allocation for feeder roads was just slightly below $500 million. So even when you look at it from a practical point of view, you cannot have 12 billion worth of contracts and you've only got a budget of $500 million. It means they cannot be executed. So we just had to take that decision, bring closure to the matter, so that as a country we can then begin to chart a better path for ourselves, because I think this was clearly against even the Public Procurement Act, because now we are guided to say, as you are signing contracts, you know, you must have the financial resource to back up your position, but it appears not to have been the case. Were there advance payment? Did we carry out any financial evaluation? I think that is the response is more or less similar to what I've just indicated. We just looked at the huge disparity, and we said it is inevitable that we have to take this route, because we cannot, the route of completion is not practical at all. And with regards to the question of did we have any challenges with the contractors, from the record that I've seen, I don't think that we've had any challenges of particular note with the contractor. The main challenge was premised on the lack of financial resources. The contract was signed in 2020, and by the time we're getting to the lapse of the period of 18 months, there was no progress, or there wasn't significant progress that was made to the point of completion. For me, that is an indication to say resources were not made available to the contractor for them to execute this particular assignment. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, PS. Before Honorable Daka comes in, if I look at your Appendix 3, outstanding final accounts, PS, I think maybe that's why Honorable Lungu asked what criteria you used. Because I've seen some of, according to your progress report, there are some contracts which were at 72%, but yet terminated. There are some contracts which were more than 70%, and they were being terminated. Yes, some were 83% terminated. So I don't know. We just want to understand, because I think from the prudential perspective, if someone is 93, 89%, it's better they complete than it's terminated. Even if government has got a tight fiscal space, we can cluster some of those who are almost completing. Then those below a certain percentage as a criteria. You terminate if there are no funds. So maybe just make us understand, because this is your submitted final account of feeder roads, which we have attached, and you can looking at percentages and your status, terminated, submitted. So I don't know, maybe we can shed more light on that. Honorable Daka.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Controlling officer, looking at the 238 contracts that you signed with the various contractors, which amounted to 12.7 billion, against a resource envelope of just slightly above $500 million kwacha. I mean, what informed the ministry to get into these contracts when you are sure that you won't manage to sustain all of them? Because, honestly speaking, we are laboring as a committee to understand how a ministry has been funded with only $500 million of kwachas would contract to an extent of 12.7 billion. What was the whole idea of getting into such type of contracts? Because the damage which this has caused now to the country is quite huge. I would give an example. In my own constituency, there are roads that were terminated, where the road is complete, but only a crossing point remained. And now, I mean, the significance or the service that that road is supposed to provide actually is compromised, because we have done the road, but there are no crossing points, which is as good as not doing the road at all. So now we would want to understand, how do you go into committing the country to a tune of 12.6 billion when we only had $500 million kwachas? What motivated this action? We want to know. The committee is at pain. I know even the other honorable colleagues who are here, all of us were affected by this decision. So now, we want to know, PSK, what motivated the ministry to commit government to such an extent when you knew you didn't even have the resources? Mr. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you. PS, Honorable Wamnyima, then PSU, you proceed to answer.
Chair, I was listening to the PS's response that some contracts had lapsed. So how are they being terminated if they expired? Those that you lapsed, I want to understand what were you terminating? If a contract has expired, because these will sue. The reason why I'm asking, Chair, is that there is very good grounds to sue here. If government engages you, they can't pay you. And of course, PS, these are legacy issues. You've comfortably inherited them. You've comfortably inherited them. Unfortunately, you have to deal with them. So these people who've sued, I'm trying to understand what guidance the Office of the Attorney General was giving for contracts that have expired, then you terminate. What are you terminating? I don't understand all that.
Thank you. PS, you can take those clarifications. Then honorable colleagues will skip and go to undelivered skips and fire tenders, so that will allow the PS to come back with NFRA. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll probably start with the question of the Chair, to say that, to indicate, to say what criteria are we using for contracts which were at 70%, 80% to terminate. And perhaps that will also answer the question partially from the Honorable here, that contracts the way they are designed is that it can expire in terms of passage of time. But before you give an instruction to say you have no intention to continue or otherwise, there's still that possibility that the marriage or the contract can be reignited. So what we did as a ministry is we looked at the contract which had expired as a result of passage of time, and looking at our financial resource, we said we should not continue because clearly, we've not been performing in terms of the contractual obligations. And I must mention here, Chair, that in the year 2022, if you look at the payments that were being made to the National Road Fund Agency, most of the resources were just going towards settling of debt. And there was very minimal work that was really happening. To the other question, which is looking at what was informing the decision to commit or to enter into contracts. Government procedure is quite explicit. If we do go back in the record, I think has indicated that these are legacy issues. So when you go back into the record, we will find correspondence where the Secretary to Treasury then was affirming to say funds will be available. And that is what I believe informed the person who sat in the office that I'm sitting in now to proceed and sign these particular contracts, is because they had affirmation or confirmation from the Secretary to Treasury that the resources will be made available. But of course, it goes without saying that resources were not made available, because if they were, we would not have had this particular situation. Beyond that, I don't think that I would be in a position to really go into the minds of the people who sat in my office and in the other office before we got into it. But from as of now, as a ministry, when we write for confirmation of resources, we are guided by the budget. I cannot, for instance, write the Secretary to Treasury now to confirm for availability of resources when I know that my budget for infrastructure, that is markets and bus stations, has been approved by Parliament and it's 50,450,000. So I restrict myself within this, within these particular parameters, Chair. I submit.
Honorable members, do we have any more questions on the feeder roads and the Honorable Lungu?
Thank you, Chair. PS, we feel your pain. But suffice to say that our people in our different constituencies are really suffering. After giving them hope by sending contractors in our various constituencies, after these roads were graded, then just leaving crossing points, which are very cardinal. As you are aware, we are about to go into rain season. Our farmers are transporting fertilizer farming imports, in short. I would like to find out what the government is putting in place to make sure that these crossing points are being worked on. I submit. Thank you.
Controlling officer, you can take that one from Honorable Lungu.
Thank you very much, Chair. In terms of crossing point, as government, we have a budget line. Yes, we are aware that the needs are quite high, and we do receive requests from various local authorities requesting that we work on particular crossing points across the country. And as a ministry, for the year 2023 and indeed 2022, we have worked quite on a number of crossing points. We've made money available to the local authorities to work on these particular crossing points. But as you may appreciate, you can only do so much dependent on what you have. But if you want to go beyond that, you may end up appearing to be deceptive, and it's not the intention of government to be deceptive. We want to live within our means and do what we can. Though we feel for the people out there, but if we are unable to put a crossing point across 50 where there is need, and we're only able to work on 2, that is what we shall do, and we shall explain to the public to say this is the amount of money which we had available. That's why we worked on this particular 2, and as resources are made available, we will then continue to work on the rest of the crossing points that require attention. Chair, I submit.
Honorable Mnyima.
Chair, I want to record progress and go to overpayment of certified works.
Honorable Mnyima, I think we agreed on that one, that we will need the input from NRFA. We need to go to undelivered skip bins.
Okay.
That's what we need. In the interest of progress, we need to go to undelivered skip bins.
Okay.
So we can proceed in that manner.
Okay.
Thank you. Honorable Mnyima, I can proceed. This one.
Chair, sorry, I was still on overpayments. I think the consensus was that we wait for NRFA. Okay, I think that then I'll pass because I was prepared on that.
Next question, undelivered skip bins. Any question, as well as delayed repairs of fire tenders to that effect? Maybe PS, just for clarity and understanding, I think why were the aforementioned fire tenders delayed to be repaired? Was it, what was the main issue? Because I think from your submission, these were all insured, and if that such defects or accidents, they needed to be repaired, or by insurance needed to pay to that effect. Maybe you can just clarify on that issue. Before we proceed, Honorable Mnyima.
Thank you, Chair. PS, on this undelivered skip bins, I was just quickly reading here. The advance bonds for these suppliers, Epicasio Investment Limited, the date on the advance bond is 12th September 2023. Then you have Ketafazia General Dealers, advance bond 6th June 2023. This indicates that you only got these advance bonds after audit. But in what capacity were payments made in December 2022 without advance bonds? Maybe you can clarify, because as of December 2022, payments had been made without these advance bonds. So how are we now getting these advance bonds after being queried by auditors?
Thank you, Honorable Mamba.
Thank you, Chairperson. PS, I also wanted to find out, did the ministry carry out due diligence to determine that the 2 companies had the capacity to deliver before being awarded the contracts? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mamba, and we'll come back. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll probably start with the last question to say, was there any due diligence which is deliberate? And I suppose that is probably even linked to the question that Honorable Amunyima asked. So why the advance bonds? Why did you have advance bonds after the LPO? I think that is the substantive question. Chair, we did realize as we got into 2023, because initially the payments or the delivery of the skip bins must have been done earlier than what was observed, and as a ministry, through my officers, we started engaging this particular or these suppliers to ensure that they deliver the skip bins. But I think there was one story after another, to the extent that we ended up eventually requesting for them to provide bonds so that we protect government resources. Yes, it may appear that it was triggered by audit, but we were working on it, behind the scenes to see to it that they deliver these particular skip bins, and as of now, they have not yet delivered. And even the 4 that were delivered, they were delivered a bit belatedly. So to answer the question by Honorable Mwamba, I would be lying if I sat here and said we carried out comprehensive due diligence. We looked at it's a registered supplier of a known address, and that's it. We didn't delve into the detail, where you probably ask for their financials and start looking at their performance and that detail. So we were probably not as comprehensive as we may be now with hindsight. And I'm sure that if I were to procure any more skip tracks, I would probably request for conditions that are very, very compelling. I'll demand a lot. I submit, Chair.
Thank you, PS. The issue, I don't know if you have tackled Honorable Amnima's question and my question concerning the delayed repairs of fire tenders. Since they were insured and Ministry did not raise any loss report, what transpired? Maybe you can tackle those two, then Honorable Daka and Honorable Mfarari will come in.
Thank you, Chair. The fire tenders, I think, have been in the public domain for quite a while, and they've been a subject of one investigation after another. And I think this also did actually affect the issue of repairing. You will not share that before we identified working with the Zambia State Insurance Company. Last year, Chair, I submitted to this committee to say the insurance company could not identify or point us to a place where we could take these particular fire tenders to be repaired. I remember giving an example to say for our motor vehicles, our ordinary motor vehicles, if my vehicle is comprehensively insured and I'm involved in an accident today, when I go to an insurance company, they'll tell me to choose between company A, B, C, and D. But it wasn't the case with the fire tenders. And the fire tenders probably came with their own complications. Seen some correspondence where there was a preferred company to handle to handle any repairs or things associated with that. So it had its own complexities. I suppose that this is the main reason why we had this delay. But what is probably good is that for now, we are almost bringing closure to the subject. We've engaged Hazida, and Hazida are willing to work on the fire tenders. And I'm sure that by the time we get into 2024, some of the fire tenders will be up and running, back on the road, except for the two which are still under seizure notice by the Anti-Corruption Commission Chair. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Daka. Honorable Amnima is still indicating his question. Maybe you can rephrase it.
Chair, I wanted to know this controlling officer. Can you answer in very clear terms? These companies, they are only submitting bonds in 2023, September 2023 and June 2023. But your ministry was comfortable paying this supplier in December 2020 without submitting advance bonds. Further, Chair, the controlling officer submitted that they were working on getting these bonds. Do you have correspondence that you made these attempts before audit? Do you have any correspondence that this was being sought after before audit? I submit, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daka.
My question is similar to Honorable Mnyima's question, but I think it's just to add what Honorable Wamnyima has already alluded to. Chair, normally these bonds and sureties or guarantees are provided for under the contracts that the ministry went into with these suppliers of goods and services. Now we're wondering, the committee is wondering how this thing is coming like an afterthought, when normally these things are supposed to be straightforward. Performance bond within 14 days, and if the contractor or supplier is interested in assessing an advance, a non-conditional guarantee can come in form of a bank or insurance bond. These are provided for normally in a contract. A controlling officer, can you put this committee to speed to get to understand whether indeed that these requirements, whether they were provided for, maybe this one was a special contract where there was an exclusion of these terms and conditions which are meant at protecting government resources. Can you put this committee to speed, first of all? We want to understand the basis of your decision, first of all, to ignore the furnishing of these guarantees or bonds. Then laterwards, it comes like an afterthought that, no, we are likely to lose as government. Then you request using a backdoor method for the very things that are provided, which are normally supposed to be provided for under the contract. Mr. Chairperson, I submit.
Thank you. And those who've come with the PS, who've come with the PS to help him answer questions. Now, yeah, as we say it in Dui, please help the PS answer some of those questions. Meaning you are quiet. Help him. All the time I've been here, it's only PS who's been submitting and answering. I think it's important you come here to supplement and help the PS so that you can make also his work easier. Honorable Farrar, you had the question.
Yeah, I think maybe this question, let it go to procurement. Where is the solicitation document for the said items? These undelivered skip bins. Could we have a look at your solicitation document and also the contract that you signed with these same two companies so that we could see whether what you were doing was the right thing or not? I submit here.
Thank you. Honorable Lungu.
Thank you, Chair. On page 10, you submitted PS, the ministry. You submitted, the ministry has written to the insurance company to recall and claim amounting to 99 6,800. I would like, or the committee would like to find out if the insurance company has honored that amount or it has paid to the ministry. I submit, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed with those questions. Procurement, you take the question from Honorable Mofarari. So PS, since you've been on the floor for a long time, procurement, you can proceed and answer that question through the PS, and PS, you tackle the other three questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the PS for the responses it's been giving. I would like to start with stating that these are simplified procedures. They are not formal procedures for procurement. These were low-value procurements, and the procedures we use are simplified procedures. So for higher value procurements, we normally use solicitation documents that are detailed. But for low value, we use simplified ones, where sometimes you have discretion as to whether you should ask for a guarantee or not. And so this is where this falls. But in terms of the dates and the payments, once it was discovered that the contractor was not complying with delivery periods that were given, then these kicked in. And that's how we got these performance bonds and guarantees. But the earlier ones were amortized as the deliveries were being done after they delivered, I think, about 4. These dates are for the reduced bonds. Normally, we do amortization of the bonds as deliveries or supplies are being fulfilled. Thank you, Chair.
There's the issue of the solicitation and what evaluation report, is that contract? You haven't tackled that? Yes, sir.
I think the procurement head is saying this was actually simplified in the sense that it's of low value. So if it was simplified through the controlling officer, if you did just a simplified one, how did you intend to recoup this money in case this officer or this company could not supply, like it has done now? And that's when you now, because you are saying you simplified everything.
Honorable Daka. Switch on your mic.
Procurement officer, in an event that this supplier rejected your request to provide these guarantees and bonds, how could government recoup or recover the pending losses? I submit, of course, through the controlling officer.
Thank you. Honorable Amnima.
And Chair, in as far as I'm concerned, or the committee is concerned, without this contract, I think it remains speculation. We need this contract to read. And how did you identify these suppliers? That they are so capable, so we use simplified. Who are they? How did you arrive to deal with these suppliers? What informed the decision?
Thank you. Through the PS procurement, you can proceed and answer those 3 questions before the PS comes in. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe in terms of identifying the suppliers, we first went into the market, and in the market there is one supplier who deals with skip bins, the major one, which is it's an Indian company, Saro. I think you know Saro company. But when we went there, we discovered that the type of skip bins that they were using and the materials they were making the skip bins from was inferior. So we went to Chongwe Town Council and found the very high quality skip bins. And that's where we got one of them. And then we went to another council, which is Kafi, we got another one. And so that's how we identified these ones. We normally rely on the other procuring entities, and that's how we shortlisted for each of those. But in terms of the order, the contract, these simplified procedures do not normally have contracts signed. We normally raise the purchase order, which is raised within the system. It also has simplified requirements.
Honorable Mnyima, we can ask, then we proceed.
Chair, before we proceed, this material saying is inferior. You undertook a quality test, that's number one, because you can't just say it was inferior. The science, huh? Then you want something, you want to get the best product, best price, and you are the ones going to look for who should supply. Do you think the process you've explained will give you a proper outcome? And what sort of what's the name of that procurement method you used of going to markets and so forth? Does it have a name? Yeah. And secondly, Chair, if you did a quality test that SARO, which is supplying equipment to 156 constituencies, provides inferior bins, where is the quality test report? Do you have it to submit before this committee?
Thank you. Through the PS procurement, you can proceed and answer that question. And also, Honorable Daka's question needs to be answered. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chair. We really didn't do the quality test as in the scientific one. We just looked at the one that SARO had in terms of thickness of material. And then we looked at what they had supplied our Lusaka City Council in terms of how it got deformed when you load it and when lifting it up. And then we looked at the one Chongwe Council was using. I think even now you could go and we could make arrangements with Chongwe. You will find that there is a big difference. Then we asked what are the sources. So the one at Chongwe was coming from South Africa. The one at SARO was being manufactured locally. So that's how we thought that maybe the quality would be much better to pick the other one.
That answer is not adequate.
No, Chair, but on a serious note, I think the procurement officer you are appearing before this committee and we are very serious about this query. You did not contract a South African company. You ended up contracting these companies who are only giving you performance bonds now. And Chair, to avoid loss of resources, we cannot accept this sort of procurement method, which is trying to explain. And first of all, without a quality test, you are speculating again. What if the bins were being overloaded? That's why they were bending. So, Chair, through you, I think we must make progress because he has no answers and we'll try to keep on forcing. But this procurement method is unacceptable because we've lost and you're trying to recover from insurance. We don't know if insurance can agree to indemnify you as a ministry when you did not follow a procurement method which could give you. Why didn't you just, even if it's a low amount which you are calling, which I don't agree also, Chair, that 449,500 is a small amount, so we can simplify. I think, Chair, we need to attach some seriousness to these risks, averting risks where we can. So it would be interesting to know if the insurance company will understand what you're trying to explain.
Thank you. Honorable, you are correct. I think it's very, very difficult for even insurance to honor, but to take position and make progress because the head procurement is not giving us sufficient or proper answer to that effect. So we'll proceed and we'll take position. Progress. Honorable Mfarari and Honorable...
Chair, the question I have to the controlling officer on these fire tenders is in form of an observation. Controlling officer, did you have a look at the solicitation document for these fire tenders, which was used at the time of trying to procure these fire tenders? I'm saying so because the majority of these, I don't know whether by the end of this year we will remain with any of these trucks around. I'm looking at the rates at which they are overturning and falling, especially when they are being called to go and maybe stop some fire somewhere. I think they spin easily because you look at them, they are short, they are narrow, the stability is not there. Did you have a look at the solicitation document that was used in order for them to procure these vehicles that are now even unable to be repaired within our boundaries? Could you just maybe, I'm just trying to think through. Thank you.
Thank you. I think PS, I asked you my question already on this fire tender issue in terms of why they were not being repaired, because if they were insured by ZISC, and why the ministry did not raise a loss report or accident report, whatever it's called, to that effect. I think that was my question. Honorable Lungu.
Thank you. Chair, there's a question that I asked regarding to insurance company if they paid or not. He hasn't answered. Thank you.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. The insurance company has not yet paid. We are waiting for them to go through their procedures, but we remain positive that government resources will be recouped. And secondly, I think Honorable Daka did ask a question to say if the resources are not, or if the insurance company doesn't pay, what recourse do we have as government? You know, at that point, it becomes a criminal issue. We still have an option of going to the police and prefer criminal charges, because the resources, the money was made available, and the money is supposed to be in exchange of 9 skip bins in total, but we've received less. So we still have that option, but we're hopeful that it will be dealt with by the insurance company. And perhaps just to give a bit of perspective, on the use of low value, it's a terminology that is used in procurement. You have thresholds. So there are certain thresholds which are categorized as they are low value papers, and you don't need to enter into a contract as in a complex contract. So a local purchase order is what substitutes a formal contract. I think that is the context in which my procurement head was referring to low value. So I thought I just put that into perspective. And why were the fire tenders not being repaired? I think I attempted to respond to that question, Chair, and I did state that these fire tenders have been a subject of one investigation after another, and that's why we've seen a protracted delay. But I'm now stating to say that we are almost coming to finality, at least for the 6 where there are no encumbrances. Those will soon be repaired, and we're hoping that they'll be up and running and serving the purpose that they were bought for. Did I have a look at the solicitation document? Chair, no, I did not have a look at the solicitation documents for these particular fire tenders. I did not. I had no compelling reason to look at them because they are things which I found already procured and were being utilized. And I think it's also important to know that fire tenders by their nature, they are usually or many times or all the times actually carry liquid in them, and if you have a person or persons who are driving as if they are driving an empty vehicle, chances are they will roll because of the weight of the water. But I'm not very competent when it comes to the technical specifications in terms of stability and other related issues, Chair. So I just thought that I give that particular perspective, Chair. I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Wamnyima.
Thank you very much, Chair. Controlling Officer, I just want to understand what delayed your ministry in submitting claim forms, driver's licenses, police reports, and quotations to ZISC. That's number one. Number two is just guidance on this procurement of skip bins, that you cannot criminalize it because it's a civil issue. This issue is a contractor who suppliers failed to deliver. So when you take them to the police cannot even be involved because it's a civil in nature. So I think going forward, you should not accept a situation where bonds are submitted so late. Now, getting back to this, Chair, is what delayed the ministry in taking these police reports, driver's licenses, and controlling officer, as controlling officer of this ministry, the anti-corruption has been investigating this issue for 2 years, which is also making your work difficult in separating trucks on accidents, others, which they have done, which is a good move. But do you think it's still feasible that investigations keep going on? 2 years, there's no closure on the matter, and it's just affecting service delivery because these are under your custody. So that's my question, Chair.
Thank you. PS, you can proceed and answer the question.
Thank you very much, Chair. Investigations going on for 2 years, I really cannot make a comment because I'm not the investigating agency. All I can do is to request, like I requested, and I'm happy that the Anti-Corruption Commission did yield to one of our requests, that is to separate issues, and we'll be making progress on the others, except for those which may still be held. Secondly, a question is asked on the delays. What caused the delays for filling out the loss forms or submitting information to the insurance company to process these particular claims? I think, Chair, it is important to note that the Honorable MP actually said he felt sorry for me, but I don't know if he really felt sorry for me. He says I'm dealing with legacy issues, that he keeps on making me lose more hair on the same legacy issues by taking me back to say what did you do, or why did you not do this? I'm almost tempted to say that I was not in office then, but the office exists in perpetuity. My findings are that, Chair, the fire tenders are sitting in a number of local authorities. So we may have a situation where there was an information gap and communication gap between the local authorities and the head office. The local authority perhaps was seated there thinking to say the people at the center are dealing with this, and the people at the center are thinking we have handed over this fire tender to the local authority and they shall deal with it. That's why in our submission, Chair, we've indicated to say that we are streamlining these operations to ensure that we know what is happening, because at times when you do not know what is happening, you can indeed fail to execute an assignment that appears to be very simple, as the case is very apparent now that it has indeed taken 2-3 years to repair these particular fire tenders, which is actually regrettable. But as per my submission, we are now making progress, and we are hoping that this will be a dead issue. Chair, I submit.
Thank you, PS. Honorable Mfarari, you have the last question.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I really sympathize with the controlling officer who is dealing with properties that do not even belong to him because they were seized. So I don't even know how, I don't know the separation where he has managed to get the other ones to be repaired while they are under seizure. It's a bit complicated. I feel for him because they don't even belong to him. This is they were seized, unless the seizure was removed by the investigative wings. But we would have looked, if we had resources, would have looked for other ones. So it's quite complicated, Chair. I think that's what I'm even failing to ask my question anyway. Let me stop there.
Thank you, honorable colleagues. PS, thank you for your submissions and attempting to answer some of the questions and answering some of the questions. I think looking at your submission, Secretariat will get back to you on I think those particular issues, final accounts and overpayment of the IPCs, so that we can consolidate also issues of those terminated contracts which have been cleared, which are yet to be cleared. So that one you need to come with NFRA, their Director Finance, and their CEO, and any other person who's in charge with these reconciliations and payments, because we understand the ministry does not pay. All you do is submit, then they make decisions. So they should come and tell us on some of those issues, and also we want to so that we can proceed and close some of these issues moving forward. Yes, there are other issues which have been raised by this committee, which PS we hope you can, in the quickest possible time, address to that effect, to ensure that we move in a smooth way in terms of accountability and adherence to Public Finance Act number 1 of 2018, as well as the Public Procurement number 8 of 2020, to ensure that we foster service delivery to our people, which is very, very important aspect to look at this committee to that effect, is issues of accountability, which culminates to good governance to that effect. And that's our number 1 role and important issue we look at. So PS, with that said, Secretariat will liaise with you when you can come back and address those 2 issues. Let me take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely, together with your team. Although you were submitting alone, but we thank you most sincerely, together with your team, which escorted you to come and appear before this honorable committee. So thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to lift the immunity which was conferred before you, together with your team. That now it's lifted, and it's still morning. Good morning, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair. And on a lighter note, I think my team has confidence in their controlling officer. And if I get stuck, actually you just beat me to it at the point he asked the question. I was about to ask the head procurement to assist in that particular question. But thank you, Chair, for having us, and we'll definitely work on the questions, and we hope that the next time we come here, the issues will be resolved. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you.
As Zambia celebrates her 59th anniversary this year, Kafue constituency in Lusaka province is also marking the commemoration of its 50th Golden Jubilee since its establishment in 1973. The constituency, in partnership with other organizations, has lined up a number of activities ahead of the Golden Jubilee celebrations. Some of the activities lined up include school debates, an open day at the constituency office, and a football tournament, among others. On 27th October 2023, the constituency kicked off its activities with a high school debate held at Malundu Secondary School in Kafue constituency. 4 schools drawn from within Kafue constituency battled it out for the debate and were paired into 2 groups. The first debate was between the Casa Boys and Kafue Secondary School. The 2 schools were debating the motion, Kafue constituency has seen developmental projects in the past 50 years of democratic governance. The Casa Boys was proposing the motion, while Kafue Secondary was opposing.
Kafue has experienced a lot of developmental projects, such as infrastructural development. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals. The Kafue District Hospital, which is now known as the Kafue General Hospital, was upgraded.
Now, members of this House and affiliates of this session, you will indeed tell with me that Kafue has not experienced a lot of developmental projects in the past 50 years due to the fact that Kafue, quite right, has got the Kafue General Hospital. But members of this House and affiliates of this session, let's give an example of Lusaka. Members of this House, in Lusaka, there are a lot of general hospitals. Give you an example. We've got the UTH, we've got Minasoko, we've got a lot of mental hospitals, members of this House. This actually shows that Kafue has not yet even experienced a lot of developmental issues. Members of this House. The number of schools in Kafue from 1972 date has increased. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals, Kafue has provided 20% of the graduates in secondary schools and 25% of the graduates in universities. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals, proof to this statement is the fact that the living standard in Kafue has increased. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals, you are a living testimony to this statement. Members of the House and House of Intellectuals, health services have developed thanks to facilities such as the Kafue General Hospital, KGH.
Kafue has experienced a lot of developmental projects in the past 50 years of democratic governance. Now, members of the House, before I go any further, allow me to enlighten you with the key definitions. Development. Members of the House, you would indeed tally with me that development is the process that creates growth, progress, positive change, and addition of physical, economic, environmental, social, and demographic components.
Have conducive roads for learners, and learners no longer go to school late. That issue is under the bridge. Lastly, as I sum it down, I'd like to talk about the recreation facilities, which help curb drug abuse and many others. And some of these recreation facilities we can talk about in Nkosa Stadium and Tiffany's.
The members of the House, members of the Chamber, you need to tally with me. This is a lie. The members of the House, looking at the NCZ members of the House, over the past 3 years, members of the House, the other part has been damaged. There hasn't been any production of urea. The members of the House, if there was a developmental project, members of the House, they would have revamped that place, and members of the House, there would have been employment. In Kafue, the members of the House, that place has been like that for the past 50 years. The members of the House, members of the Chamber, are you saying there's developmental governance, there's a developmental project in Kafue? No. Members of the House, moving on. In Kafue, we had the Kafue textiles that used to produce clothes. The members of the House, in Kafue, we used to produce our own clothes and people used to buy easily. The members of the House, since 2006, it was closed down. There hasn't been any developmental project to raise it, to revamp it, to bring back the workers, members of the House.
The second debate was between Avoy and Kafue Day Secondary Schools, whose debate was under the motion, the limitation of Kafue constituency is not a solution to the development of Kafue. The 2 schools ably debated this motion, of which Kafue Day was proposing while Avoy Secondary School was opposing.
Members of the auditorium, I'm opposing to the motion which states as I articulate. The limitation of Kafue constituency is not the solution to the development of Kafue, to which I strongly oppose. Why? Members of the Chamber, the limitation would allow actual needs of the citizens to be met. Members of the Chamber, just imagine if we are divided. It's going to be very easy to talk to our members of parliament and hence the development in our constituencies. Members of the auditorium, it would also prevent red tape. What do I mean by red tape? Unnecessary long procedures. Members of the auditorium, if we are divided, it's going to be easy to talk to our councillors, members of parliament. But just imagine, we only have one member of parliament. It also brings about a lot of workload to her because she's also a human.
I confidently stand here proposing to the motion stated above. But as the firstborn daughter of the proposing side, it solution, solving a problem or dealing with a difficult solution, development, an act of improving by expanding or enlarging. Going back to the definition of delimitation, may the good Samaritan do as wise for further verification.
Forgive me if I'm coming in too strong, but I'm afraid these young people cannot achieve the curfew we cry for, notwithstanding the hypocrisy, acrimony, and individualistic attitudes in the society. In other words, these people cannot achieve the curfew we want, not until they realize that the delimitation of curfew is the solution to the development.
We have a lot of people supporting one thing. That does make that thing to be the right thing. So, and here are the reasons why I say this. Firstly, delimitation of the Kafue constituency seeks to be advantageous on the political agenda compared to the developmental agenda.
According to the Zambian Educational Publishing House Civic Education Grade 10 Learner's Book, delimitation is the process of dividing a constituency into smaller constituencies. According to the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, page 311, a constituency is a district that elects a representative in parliament. May the Good Samaritan pass this on to the judges for clarification. Delimitation of Kafue is not the solution to the development of Kafue. End of quotation. Members of the House, I strongly propose to the motion stated above due to the following reasons. The introduction of free education was received with both hands, but the challenge that is there is that most schools within Kafue, e.g. Kafue Day Secondary School, do not have enough furniture, books, and infrastructure. In this area, children standing or sitting on the floor whilst learning. Honestly, if only our earlier member of parliament can use the money that is meant to delimitate Kafue to develop our schools.
The first position goes to Naboye Secondary School.
After the four schools battled it out, Naboye Secondary School was crowned the winner and walked away with prize money amounting to 1,500 kwacha with a shield and a certificate of attendancy. Kafue boys came out second and walked away with 1,000 kwacha and certificate of attendancy. Likasa boys trailed third and walked away with a 750 kwacha, while Kafue Day was fourth and received a certificate of participation. And speaking after the function, Kafue District Commissioner who graced at the event, Mr. Maurice Hikapulwe, called on the area Member of Parliament, Mrs. Miriam Chonya, to work together with the District Education Board Secretary and organize more debate competitions as it helps improve learners' public speaking skills.
The constituency was established in 1973, and at its first Member of Parliament, Honorable Francis Matanda from the unique political party, and the current MP is number 10. She is the 10th Member of Parliament as well as the second female MP in Kafue. So the school debate program is just one of the commemoration activities lined up to help us appreciate and cherish the rich history of Kafue. Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather to celebrate the art and the skill of persuasive argumentation, critical thinking, and the ability to articulate issues. I could see some of our pupils here had done a lot of research, and that's what debate is all about. We have to do a lot of research. Debates are more than just a competition. They demonstrate our capacity to engage in meaningful debate, examine multiple points of view, and defend our beliefs with clarity and conviction. Whether we become lawyers, lawmakers, scientists, educators, or artists, we will need to be able to articulate our thoughts and ideas. Therefore, a debate is not just about winning or losing, but using this tool, we learn to look after the matter at hand from different angles.
And Kafue District Education Board Secretary, Ms. Belina Mono, said her office We will organize more of such programs to nurture the young people.
It is always a pleasure listening to our learners, articulating issues the way you did, especially looking at every issue from both sides of the coin. But I think, as the guest of honor mentioned it, you have to take your time and realize that you are not only speaking, but you are communicating. Are we there? Okay, so do a lot more research next time, because it also helps listeners from what you are debating to make well-informed decisions in future. Let me mention that for me, it is what is more important is actually participating, and I'm glad that you participated. Matrons and patrons and the school administrators, let us continue coaching and mentoring our young ones, because you and I do believe that these actually are the future leaders of our Kafue district.
Kafue Member of Parliament, Mrs. Miriam Chonya, said that the school debates are one of the activities being organized under the office of the Member of Parliament in Kafue constituency to mark its 50th anniversary.
50 years is a long time, and because the grace of God has made us see this 50th year, we thought we would commemorate it in a special way by putting in place a number of activities to help us do the commemoration, and one of them being this debate, which is the very first program in the lineup of our commemoratory activities.
The area Member of Parliament also briefed the media on the main activities to take place as the constituency celebrates its 50 years anniversary.
Today's event marks the beginning of our commemoration of the 50th anniversary of Kafue constituency, as some may not be aware that this constituency was designated in 1973. So apart from the debate that we have witnessed today, the fundraising dinner that we have organized as a committee, this fundraiser is meant to help us realize, some funds that we need for the commemoration of the other activities that we've lined up, and these include, a football tournament. We want to do some donations and charity work to the community, but most importantly, we want to also use the proceeds to complete construction of a 1-by-2 classroom block in Mpande, one of the wards in Kafue, where the community came up with this initiative, and we thought that we would help them to complete that initiative.
Lilian Chinyanta, a grade 9 pupil from Nabwe Secondary School, and Mwangwa Muchindo from Kafue Boys were awarded the best debaters in both the female and male categories. The two pupils expressed happiness for having been voted as best speakers and are pledged to continue working hard.
Me becoming coming first position as a female best speaker has really given me, it has just given me a surprise, because I was not expecting, I never expected this to happen. So I'm very happy for myself, and I'm also happy to tell and encourage others to keep on trying their best, as they still have a long way to go, because I'm only a grade 9 pupil. What more other grades out there? They should also try, they should also continue to do to continue following their dream, as Lillian, I was just a debater at Nawe Secondary School. No, I was not known by anyone, but this opportunity has really lightened a path for me, because I was even awarded 100% scholarship at Harvest University, and I'm still in grade 9. So this is very hard for me to believe that I actually won a scholarship while still in the 9th grade.
Really feeling very excited. I don't really have words to express this, because there were just so many speakers in there who seemed to be intimidating. The floor itself could just show you that this place for you to really do it. But when I went there, like I just put everything aside, put courage first, everything. Then, yeah, it was there, and I came out to be the best speaker. Being noted at such events is something of rare delicacy, I would say. Yeah, something of rare delicacy. So, it's indeed something of pleasure to me. Yeah.
It is hoped that more constituencies will intensify debate programs in their respective schools in order to improve the education standard of pupils as future leaders.
Second witness, and this is coming from Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Our dear witnesses, I want to welcome you to this committee, which is looking at the two corridors, the agreements on the two corridors by our government. And we want to welcome you to make your submission to the Minister of Transport. Before we go any further, this is how we are going to proceed. I will, before anything else, insulate you or cover you with our Cap 12, which actually entails that we are giving you an immunity that will protect you from any litigations, any court cases, including anything to do from your ministry. If your superiors from your ministry tries to harass or bully you, emanating from what you're going to submit to this committee, that will not be entertained. It will be contempt of Parliament. So Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia actually gives you that immunity, that whatever you're going to submit into this committee, you are protected. No one can take you to any courts of law to answer to the submissions that you're going to do or to make to this committee. However, let me also hasten to mention here that if you decide to mislead this committee deliberately or otherwise by giving untruths or the information that is not in line, or the information that we may realize or discover later that it was not factual, the same Cap 12 can be used against you. So it's a double-edged sword. So having said that, I will ask you to introduce yourselves individually, and then after that, the honorable members will introduce themselves. This committee comprises of 10 members, but because there are quite a number of committees that are sitting, you can see that we are only at a quorum. Other members are in other committees just trying to make business going. They'll also introduce themselves, and then thereafter we shall give the team leader approximately 15 minutes to make your submission, after which the honorable members shall be at liberty to ask for points of clarifications or to ask for questions or otherwise, which you, as the team leader, you may respond to. But we are not going to restrict every question to yourself. You may also delegate to any of your members that you have come with to help you in responding to some of these answers. So being a PS and the controlling officer, you are at liberty, sir, to delegate and ask any of your members to help you or to chip in. But if you feel you can respond to any question that comes in, you are still at peace to do that. So PS, I would want you to introduce yourself and then let your members also introduce themselves.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good morning. And good morning, Honorable Members of Parliament. I am John Mlongoti, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. I will ask my team members to introduce themselves, starting with Mike.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good morning, Members of Parliament. My name is Mike Chivumo. I'm from the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry, and I'm a principal planner.
Mr. Mike Chiume?
Mike Chivumo.
Oh, Chivumo, okay.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, and good morning, Honorable Members. My name is Chiwet Salah. I'm the Chief Economist in the Department of Industry at the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, Honorable members of the committee. My name is Edwin Lyson Zimba, Director Planning and Information, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Good morning, Honorable Members. My name is Ngona Simon. I'm Acting Director Foreign Trade in the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Thank you.
Good morning, the Chair. My name is Brian Monga, Acting Director Technical Regulations, Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary, with your team. Allow me now to ask the honorable members to introduce themselves, starting with my far right.
Thank you so much, Chair, and good morning, PS and your team. I am Honorable Francis Robert Kapianga, Member of Parliament for Mpika constituency.
Good morning, witness. My name is Lloyd Luwasha, Member of Parliament for Chifubu in Indola, the friendly city.
Morning, PS and your team. I'm Emmanuel M. Sonda, Member of Parliament for Lupososhi constituency in Lupososhi district.
Honorable Member, on my left.
PS and your team, we are grateful to you for making an appearance before this committee. My name is Charles Abel Mlenga. I'm the Member of Parliament for Kwacha constituency. This is one constituency which sits in Kitwe on the Copper Belt, and I'm also a member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Let me take this opportunity to ask my chairperson to introduce himself.
Thank you, Chair. PS and the team, good morning and welcome. I'm Muvika Muvika. It's my name, MP for Shangoman Western Province, and the chairperson of the committee. You're welcome.
Secretariat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Good morning, Minister of Commerce. My name is Darius Kunda, coming from the Office of the Clerk.
Thank you very much. I am Honorable Joel Chibuye, Member of Parliament for Ron constituency on the Copper Belt in Luanshya, and I am the Vice Chairperson of this committee. As I said in my earlier remarks, Controlling Officer, that because so many committees are sitting at the same time, our chairperson has also just been fished from another committee. If he's going to allow me to continue chairing this from the chair, I will continue, or otherwise I have to leave the chair. He has allowed me to proceed with the meeting. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, this is our second witness coming from Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry to make their submission on the two corridors that we are looking at. We have done all the formalities, and now it remains for me to ask our controlling officer to run us through the submission. I can see that there is an addition.
Yes, Chair. That is a replacement. I think that's an updated version of what they submitted.
So which one do we follow?
The one that has just been.
So not this one.
Not this one.
So honourable members, let us follow the one that has just been given to us. Controlling officer, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Just to indicate that the new submission, basically, we've just added some insights about the two agreement. As well of background, Honorable Chair, you agree with me that Zambia as a country, we are heavily dependent on three ports, that is Dar es Salaam, Durban and Beira. And we feel that as a country, we need to diversify our seaports. That is why the two agreements are very important, because these three ports I've mentioned, they are predominantly on the eastern side. So the two corridors which we are trying to ratify, the agreements we're trying to ratify, will give us extra access, and also in an event that something happens with Beira or indeed Dar es Salaam, we'll have alternatives. Further, Chair, you also agree with me that we've done a lot in terms of market access. Now we are pushing the Afro-Continental Free Trade Area, the EU market, the USA market under AGOA and the like. And for us to be competitive, we need to open the routes on the two corridors. In addition, DRC and Angola, they still remain potential markets. You agree with me that for Angola, for instance, up to now, we don't have physical infrastructure, and this corridor will provide that much needed physical infrastructure. Of course, we have connectivity with Kasumbalesa and Mokambo, but we feel that with the corridor, it will go beyond Congo into Angola up to Lobito. Now, coming specifically to the two corridors, I'll start with the Wavis Bendola Lubumbashi corridor, which was signed in 2010 in Livingstone. And you realize that for the Wavis Bay Lubumbashi Development Corridor, Namibia ratified, and also Namibia has already ratified, but Zambia is yet to ratify. So this can't come into force because from the three members, DRC, Namibia, Zambia, the two have ratified. It will only come into force once Zambia ratifies, and hence that is our push. Again, when you look at the corridor, in terms of coverage from the Zambian side, in Zambia, this is where Western Province, Northwestern Province, Southern Province, Lusaka Province, Central Province, and Copper Belt provinces are basically the geographical areas. In Namibia, all the regions in Caprivi, Kavango, and Erongo are covered, whilst in the DRC, we have the Lualaba, out Katanga, Lomani, out Lomani, Tanganyika, which was previously called Katanga East and West, Kasai. So all these are covered. But maybe what is important and maybe why you've called us is to talk about the benefits. The benefits, like I earlier indicated, one is access to seaport and also to have alternatives. You know, as a landlocked country, we need to ensure that we are land linked. So developing this corridor will ensure that we become land linked. Secondly, we have this big agenda of facilitating trade and also reducing the cost of doing business. We can only reduce the cost of doing business if we have some agreements with our neighboring countries, in the sense that we would want to harmonize trade, harmonize the laws, so that when our business people pass through these trade corridors, they are not charged unnecessary fees. Thirdly, I talked about the market access both in Angola and also in the DRC, but beyond also, that is very important. We believe that once these corridors are developed, it was going to be easier for Zambian products and imports to get access to, for example, the western part of Africa, European market, and the Americas, both North and South America. Lastly, I've talked about the mutual recognition agreements, but most importantly, the new Dawn policy is to ensure that we develop the private sector. Now, we can only develop the private sector if we enhance the business climate. So this is one of those measures we believe that it is going to enhance the business climate, reduce the cost of doing business, and hence enhance the exports, and of course reduce the cost of importation. Thirdly, if I can now go to the Lobito Corridor, Lobito Corridor Transport Facility Agency Agreement. This agreement was signed in April 2018 and is yet to be ratified. In terms of the countries involved, we do have Angola, we have Zambia and DRC. Sorry, I think when I was talking about the Wavis Bay, I was talking about Angola. On that one, we have Namibia, not Angola. So on the Lobito Corridor Transit Agreement, we have Angola, DRC, and Zambia. And in terms of Zambia, the coverage is Copper Belt and Northwestern Province, but of course, this spills over to nearly all the provinces, and especially Southern and Western Province. This agreement has not been, the agreement was signed in January 2023. Our Minister of Logistics signed, but we are yet to ratify, and this is the process which we have embarked on. Again, the benefits are more or less the same like I've earlier indicated. For this corridor, we believe that it will help us to mobilize resources, which is key in putting up the infrastructure along the corridor. As you know, like I've earlier indicated, we don't have physical infrastructure between Zambia and Angola. It is through this development corridor where we hope that we're going to have infrastructure connectivity between Zambia, DRC, and also Zambia and Angola up to Lobito. Trade facilitation, which I've already talked about, we are trying as much as possible to ensure that we facilitate trade between Zambia and Angola, Zambia and DRC, and beyond. Thirdly, the corridor agreement also provides for reduction in charges on transit traffic, which we believe that will ultimately reduce the cost of doing business. So in conclusion, Chair, these two agreements are very important for Zambia because they will contribute to the thrust and drive to develop our private sector, to make our exports competitive, to make our imports cheaper, and also for Zambia to get and reach its market through the various protocols we've entered into. I submit, Chair.
Controlling Officer, thank you very much for that brief but detailed and straight to the point submission. And now it's my time to ask the honorable members of Parliament, including my chair, to ask for points of clarifications, questions, or on your submission. I can see the interest from Honorable Member for Kwacha. You may proceed with your question.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning once again, witness. In your submissions, you have highlighted on the need to reduce the cost of doing business. And you have cited one step that can be taken to achieve this, and that is to harmonize the agreements among the member countries. Now, I don't know what your take would be for any member country that decides to abrogate these agreements. I can cite an example of the DRC. That is one country, sorry for a better term, I may use or look at it as a country that I don't know what term I can use to describe it. So I can see that some of these agreements may not be honored in order for what you are recommending to be achieved. So I don't know your take on what would be the measures that may be instituted against any member that may abrogate those agreements. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, Controlling Officer. Take note of those concerns. While I see other members, I can see Honorable Luwosia.
Witness, the establishment of both corridors just creates a passage of the raw material from the countries involved straight to the Western world, and particularly that the materials that will pass through here, they will go in raw form, so which means we will not benefit. So as a transit country and at the same time a producing country, you as the Ministry of Trade, what are you doing? What is your agenda or program that you have put in place on the issue of value addition? Because we don't expect our colleagues in the Western world to do value addition for us. With them, they want to get the material in raw form so that they can go and process and create jobs there, and we become a market again when those goods come back in the same corridor. So what are you doing? How many companies within the country that we have started preparing for value addition, like for Mukura, copper, nickel, cobalt? How many are going to be turning these into value addition? Because we have heard the president is talking about value addition. Yes, the president may make pronouncement, but it is up to you, the technocrats, to put the programs on the ground. So what I want to know is maybe just a walkthrough of the program you have done as Ministry of Trade, particularly on the value addition, so that we can start seeing the benefits as the corridor is actualized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, for Chifubu. Very, very important observation. Not to dilute his question. It was also ringing in my mind from the benefits that you have actually outlined here. Of course, infrastructure, this, that. But the major component is what he has mentioned. What is it that you as a mother ministry of trade, of commerce and trade, doing to ensure that we don't export jobs? These corridors are going to be to be there to benefit Zambia in terms of jobs creation and infrastructure, as you have mentioned, but you have omitted what is just been pointed. Value addition. Are we going to use these corridors to export raw materials? Or are we going to ask for foreign direct investment to come and create industries here so that we add value to the raw materials that he has mentioned? Like Mukura, we export raw Mukura to China, they make furniture, they bring it back here, you and me buys them. These. So, PS, that's a very good concern from the honorable member. What is it that we are doing as a ministry, as a country? You may answer to the two questions.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you very much for those two questions. I will start with the first question from Honorable Mulenga. Abrogation of agreements. Yes, these are agreements, but usually when we enter into agreements, we enter into good faith from the Zambian side. Now, an agreement will only come into force once it's ratified. Just to give an example, and also maybe just to agree with you, if you remember, we signed a trade agreement with DRC, and trade agreements with DRC, another trade agreement with Angola. Unfortunately, these agreements have not come into force because they have not been ratified from the DRC side and also from the Angolan side. So we hope that, like for the first agreement, which is already ratified on the other side, Namibia and DRC, once we ratify, then it will come into force. And then also the agreement provides for conflict mitigation or resolutions. If, for example, one member decides to abrogate it, we go back to the articles which provides on how you initiate yourselves or how you mitigate bad behavior, as it were. Secondly, also, there is what is called reciprocity. When you find that your trading partner is constantly misbehaving, you also may reciprocate. But usually, as neighbors and as member states, usually what we do is we try as much as possible to resolve these matters diplomatically. So we have challenges, yes, with DRC. We have challenges with Tanzania. We are also having issues with Malawi, which we are resolving through the diplomatic channels. So whenever we have those challenges, yes, we have to find a mechanism of resolving it. And ultimately, what we want is to grow our private sector, grow business, so that we create wealth and create jobs for our people. Coming to the second question, where we have not talked about what we are doing in order to enhance value addition, I think maybe implicitly we've talked about it, although we have not just mentioned it. But what are the key activities on the agenda of promoting value addition? I'm sure, Honorable Minister, you've heard of the program where we are promoting special economic zones. Under the special economic zones, we have the industrial parks. We do have, under industrial parks, like in Ndola, in Sub-Sahara Gem Exchange, I think there's an industrial park which has been constructed by CEC. In Kitwe, the Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises just opened one a month ago. In Kasama, Mongu, and I think Chipata, the industrial parks we've already constructed. At the moment, the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, working with Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission, they are trying to vet the small players who've shown willingness to go into these industrial parks. What we envisage to see is that as we don't want to leave anyone behind, we'll see the small players who go into these shells, they will be supported by CEC and also go into value addition. Secondly, we have the multi-facet economic zones. We have now there are 7. We have 2 in Lusaka, the Lusaka East, which is run by the Chinese, ZCCZ. We have Lusaka South MFAS, which is run by government through IDC, where we are attracting big enterprises. Lusaka South MFAS at the moment has created 10,000 job opportunities. We have 3 companies which are operational. We have a total of 100 companies which are on the ground. If you go there, more than 40, they are constructing. The only sad part is Lusaka South MFAS, because it is in between Lusaka province, Lusaka district and Kafue. And we rarely go through. I would encourage the honorable members of parliament to pass through the zone and you just see what is happening. All the Vatra water which we drink, this Vatra water is coming from the big tree plant which is in the Lusaka South MFAS. All the Fruticana drinks we are taking is coming from Lusaka South MFAS. The Twyford towers, now we've got 2 companies which are making towers. We have Marco Polo Towers, which is in Mungwi, along Mungwi Road. Is that
Lusaka West?
Lusaka West, yes. And we also have, what is the name in the zone? Is it Sunda? Yeah, where we are making that brand Twyford. And all these towers we are exporting into the region and beyond. On the copper belt, we have the ZCCZ in Chambishi. We also have in Kalumbila, where we're making mill balls. Then we have the farm blocks. In the farm blocks, if you recall, when the Minister of Finance was making his budget presentation, he extended the incentives which we are giving for investors in the rural areas and also in the multi-economic zones to farm blocks. The idea is we have farm blocks in all the 10 provinces, but we want the anchor industries to set up, add value, and also create jobs, and we start driving the exports from the rural areas and from the farm blocks. Lastly, we are pushing the electric vehicle and batteries value chain. We have the lithium, we have the manganese, we have the copper, cobalt, and the like. We are working with DRC, and we believe that for us, instead of exporting these materials in raw form, we need to add value. And this corridor comes handy, because for us to transport some of the raw materials from DRC, we will need infrastructure. For us to export some of these value-added products in the electric vehicle battery value chain, we will need the infrastructure. We do know that the battery technology is very developed in the Far East, especially China. China is exporting lithium batteries, exporting battery precursors, motor vehicles, electric vehicles, and the like, from China to all over the world. If Zambia has to start exporting, we need this infrastructure in the 2 corridors, because for us to export finished batteries, for us to export motor vehicles, we will need to ship them from Zambia into Walvis Bay or into Lobito, and then put them on the ship into the European market or into the Americas. So basically, that's why this corridor comes in handy. But in terms of value addition, those are some of the key measures which we are implementing at the moment. I submit to.
Wonderful, controlling officer, for that response. But if I may ask, just a rider, you have outlined quite a number of products that are receiving value addition, primarily on our timber. From these facility zones, multi-facility zones that you have outlined, I haven't heard you mentioning one which is adding value to our precious timber. Are you looking into that as Minister of Trade and Commerce? Before you respond to that, the owner of the question as a rider.
Yes, Minister of Trade. I think as we open up the corridors, if there are our raw materials that will be going through these corridors is copper, nickel, cobalt, rosewood, mukula, and these are the high value raw materials that if we are to do some value addition, they can change the economic standpoint of our country. But in your explanation, I haven't heard anything. We had companies in Luansha like Zamefa that were making the copper cables, and yes, cereals also making suits. But we have not heard about companies in these mount facility zones that are making copper cables, or prospect of those companies to come and make these copper cables, also converting the mkula tree into furniture and other wood products that we can start boasting of. But we have heard a lot of investors who always want to come and invest in the mining so that they can produce the minerals and ship out of the country, but not set up industries here. So I want to hear more on your table. What is there where we'll be adding, where there will be adding value addition to copper, mukula, rosewood?
Honorable member, thank you very much for that question. Controlling officer, we are not cross-examining you, neither we are trying to suck milk out of the tree. You can give us the position that you are comfortable with. You can give us the answer. If you do not have the answer, we'll be still appreciate your submission. But remember that we are not trying to force answers out of you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Indeed, we understand this is a platform from our end where we exchange information, so it is still fine with us. In terms of some of the activities we are doing in value addition, and I've noted that I think the emphasis is now concentrating more on copper and timber, which I'll try to talk about. So for copper, yes, at the moment we have 3 companies which I can talk about which are adding value to copper, and we hope to have more. Zamefa, you've already talked about Zamefa, who are making the road, what we call the road, and also cables. We have Newcamp Cables in Indola, who are making high voltage and low voltage cables. It is the only company making the high voltage cables. Zamefa, they don't. In terms of Newcamp, they've expanded. They have built another factory in Chilanga district. I was there 2 weeks ago. They are doing trial runs where they are making communication cables from our copper. So very soon you will see a new cable called communication cable, the one we use in computers. And for that one, it is both for the local market and for the export into the region and beyond. In the second phase, they plan to go to make fiber optic cables. That will be the only company outside South Africa making fiber optic cables in Zambia, and we are working with them and supporting them so that we diversify and we contribute to the downstream copper processing in the country. We also have a company formerly called Zauco in Kabwe. They are also in copper production. In terms of, we are working as a ministry to attract as many companies as possible. In the Chivombo phase, after the state visit to China, we have a company which has shown interest to come and make wind turbines for electric generation. And when you look at the wind turbines, apart from the steel structure and the blades, the motor inside, which ultimately generates power, will need a lot of cables and other critical minerals inside. Further, there is also another company from China which it has ordered the equipment. The land is being prepared at the moment in the Chivombo M phase, which will be making electric motorcycles. So we believe that we have opened and we're still opening a new horizon for more value addition in the copper or electric vehicle and battery value chain. In terms of timber, we do have quite a number of companies which are adding value and exporting. We have CNZ in Katuba, 20 miles. They are buying the hardwoods, the rosewood, the mukula and the like, and adding value, making very, very nice products which they are selling locally and also exporting. We have a company called Scale, which I'm sure we know of. They have just expanded. They have a new showroom in East Park, and the factory is in Lusaka West. We also have Rosewood in Mongu. These are like the top companies I can talk about, who are also adding value to our timber. However, the Ministry of Green Economy, working with ourselves and ZDA, it is in preliminary stage. We are trying to explore whether we can have a dedicated zone which will be primarily for adding value to timber products, so that as we harvest this timber, we add value to it and export. ZNS, I'm sure you know that they also add value to timber, and they are doing fine in that scope, but we also need to support them as they grow. Maybe I can ask my colleagues if I've left anything, anyone who has anything to add. I see none.
You are very free. Your PS has given you the platform through the chair. You are free to add if you don't. PS, thank you very much.